Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting edition of Top Hat Chat, starring myself, Top Hat Gaming Man, and Luke Street right here, and this is going to be another episode within our Overrated series. Yeah.
Everybody seems to really enjoy these.
They do, yes. So this time we are going to be talking about whether or not Donkey Kong Country is overrated. So I'll let you start first with this one.
Okay, I have some experience with Donkey Kong Country, more so now than when they were released.
Oh, okay.
There is a really good reason for that.
What's that?
I hate the art style.
You hate the art style?
I hate the art style so much. Like, I'm looking at it now and it's upsetting me.
So do you think the art in the game's overrated?
I don't like it. I mean, for the time, it was new and revolutionary.
I have to say, when I first got the game in 1994, graphically, it might have been perhaps the most beautiful game I'd ever seen. Like, I was blown away, honestly.
You don't get blown away by graphics very often.
No, and that was one of the times I actually was blown away. I can think 3 occasions where I got blown away by graphics. Potentially 4 maybe. Donkey Kong Country, 1994. When I played Mario 64 for the first time in 1997.
Yeah, okay, that was amazing.
Shenmue, which I believe was year 2001, I think, maybe year 2000, but, or maybe even 1999. But anyway, Shenmue. Those were the 3 games. And then I'd say, lastly, in recent years, I think it might have been 2013 or 2012, Ni no Kuni on the PlayStation 3. That was one of the best looking games I've ever seen too. It looked like a cartoon, but not a cartoon.
Well, what about FIFA 18? The graphics are that beautiful. There's crowd stuff going on.
We won't talk about that.
You can see the footballs.
Never played it. But yes, we're talking about Donkey Kong Country anyway. Yeah. So the graphics, I really liked them, and actually that brings me to another point. Apparently, don't know whether it's true or not, that Miyamoto actually criticised the game himself and somewhat insinuated that the game was overrated.
Good.
And brought something up along the lines of that people only liked Donkey Kong Country for the graphics and the gameplay was just average at best.
Well, for once, I'm on Miyamoto's side.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're taking a jib now at the gameplay too. So you don't think the gameplay is that great?
I didn't like the 3D on 2D thing. I didn't. It was a 3D art style, but 2D, and it felt weird for the time. I didn't feel like Nintendo 64 could do that well.
Oh, I loved it. Got to say, I loved the silicon graphics.
Maybe I'm just being really pedantic because maybe it was just what I was used to, and this was so different to what I'm used to seeing when I'm playing stuff that it just didn't compute.
Like, I remember seeing this on Games Master and just literally being blown away by it. And when I got it at Christmas and actually played the game, I just was blown away playing it too. So Donkey Kong Country, this is just for me. I don't think it's overrated. I think, to some degree, the gameplay even, I think it might be even underrated as a platformer. Like, no one really praises the original Donkey Kong Country so much for its gameplay. I think it's a really solid platformer, like really solid.
Yeah, I mean, I have it at home. Maybe after this I can go home and actually give it a little play and see what happens, and see if I can try and generate some kind of love.
So for me, I'd even go as far as to say Donkey Kong Country. I'd say it's rated probably just about where it should be, maybe leaning slightly towards underrated. Okay. This one, on the other hand.
Okay, this is another one I've played. Again, art style was practically identical. There was no difference at all.
I wasn't as impressed with this when it came out than that because I'd seen it before.
Yeah, but I mean, it was on the same. It was on the same system, so I don't know.
My thoughts with this game is when I got it, I had a lot of fun with it, but to me, this one for some reason seems to be the darling of the internet. This is the Donkey Kong Country game that the echo chamber loves to push the narrative of being the best Donkey Kong Country game. Where for me personally, it's my least favourite out of all of them. I think it's the worst Donkey Kong Country game. And I'll tell you the reason why I think it's the worst one is because it's got a few quite broken mechanics in the game. Mainly being the snake animal you can play as. So you can play as a snake in it sometimes.
Okay.
And the snake just doesn't work properly. The jump mechanic is a bit broken, so that causes real issues sometimes.
I didn't play it anywhere near enough to notice.
So for me, this is the most flawed entry in the whole Donkey Kong Country series. So I think most of the people on the internet are pretty much on crack, in my opinion, for believing this is the best Donkey Kong Country 2 game. And maybe they just hear the same opinions, forced backwards and forward so much that they just believe to all... they begin to believe the same sort of thing. Hive Mind. Do you believe that?
Echo Chamber again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hive Mind. This is the worst Donkey Kong Country game. Overrated. Next one.
Okay, the next one. Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble.
Okay. This one, I remember by the time this one came out, I didn't purchase it at the time because I just played these two already.
I was disappointed in that one, and then that one was exactly the same, but more broken. So I gave up.
So I love this one, like I said. This one, I thought, it's okay. So I never asked for this one, didn't want it. I knew the Nintendo 64 was on the horizon, so...
And you felt that the series was on the decline.
Yeah, I thought it can't be that great. But when I actually got around to playing the game years and years later, it's fun. I think it's a lot better than Donkey Kong Country 2. But nothing that blew me out of the water. It's a decent platformer. So Donkey Kong Country 3, okay. Not as good as the first one, better than the second one.
Okay.
Okay.
Was it just because the mechanics were less broken in
Yes,
this?
exactly. It's a more refined game,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
So they corrected their problems from 2, that's what makes it slightly
But
better.
actually, I'll tell you what, with this series, it had Sonic Syndrome, didn't it? Know what I brought up in episodes before where they released too many games in one series around the same time frame? That's what they did with Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, the first one did so well, and they were like, let's get another one going straight out as quick as we can.
So this series has got exactly the same problem as Sonic the Hedgehog and Crash Bandicoot, where they just made too many games too quickly, and I lost interest.
But that pattern changed.
It did, because after Donkey Kong Country 3, they never released a 2D side-scrolling Donkey Kong Country game for many years. When Donkey Kong Country made a return on the Wii. With Donkey Kong Country Returns, and according to the box, what year did that come out? Because I got that on release.
I will quickly try and check.
I can't remember when, but I definitely got it on release.
The copyright date on this says 2010.
That'll be it then, 2010. So yes, Donkey Kong Country returned in 2010, and I absolutely love this game. Thought it was brilliant.
Okay, I played very little of it. It was decent, to be fair.
Because if you look at it from the art style and everything, it's modelled on the first Donkey Kong Country game.
Yeah.
Which was the good one,
yeah.
in my opinion. Yeah. And some people have complained to me recently in videos about Donkey Kong Country Returns. They didn't like the game because you had to use a tiny bit of motion controls in it, and that made them just hate it.
I don't think that it overdid it. There are many Wii games that completely were ruined by the motion controls, and I don't think this is one of them.
No, I think it was subtle enough.
I think it was quite close, but I think that it got away with it.
It did, in my opinion. I think maybe this is bold, but I think this game is perhaps better than all of these previously. I think that might be the best one so far we've talked about.
I wasn't disgusted by the art style either. I mean, the art style is considerably different to the others, but it felt better. I felt like this was a system which it worked. It was polished enough. And I liked it.
Yes, I think Donkey Kong Country Returns is definitely underrated because it's better than the ones on the Super Nintendo, and for some reason people talk more about the Super Nintendo ones than the Wii one. And the Wii one is a lot better. And thankfully, they never... I thought what would happen with this game, it would get new Super Mario Bros. Syndrome, and then they'd release like 6 or 7 different versions.
Yeah, there wasn't a Donkey Kong Country Returns again.
Yeah, exactly.
There wasn't.
Which was great. Until
4 years. Still 4 years.
Is there 4 years?
4 years. I checked.
Yeah, 4 years later, Donkey Kong Country Returns again. That's what it should have been called. That's a better name, isn't it? Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and this one was on the Wii U, so a different platform.
I didn't play this one, so you're going to have to give me some background and how it played and everything else.
The first HD Donkey Kong Country game, so graphically it looked a lot nicer than the one on the Wii, and in terms of gameplay, it played pretty much exactly the same as the previous one.
Okay.
The only difference was where you only had 2 characters to play as, you had 4 in this one, so you could also play as Dixie Kong and Cranky Kong for the first time in a Donkey Kong Country game as well.
And for some reason everybody loves him.
Yeah, because he plays exactly the same as Scrooge McDuck in the DuckTales game, so he can use his walking stick as a pogo stick, which is fun.
Okay, alright. So it was a definite improvement on gameplay then. They've actually switched it up a little bit. It wasn't like completely linear.
No.
It wasn't just, right, that one, Donkey Kong Returns did well, so we're going to make another one, and it's going to be very, very similar. Like, they actually added bits to it.
There was a big enough gap in time between these two games, and enough improvements like the addition of HD, the addition of extra characters, all new music, all new enemies, like as in different storyline, the whole game. There's enough between these.
There's actual progression.
Yes, where there's not so much I felt with the Donkey Kong Country series on the Super Nintendo.
I wonder if this has got actual years between it, because I'm curious.
I'm pretty sure they're 1994, 1995 and 1996. From my personal memories.
Okay, 94, yes. 95. 96, yeah, you're completely right.
Just
to double check.
Came out. So yes, I think these two probably better than these. The only thing is what we're finished on. So Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, I would say it was definitely extremely underrated. Probably the most underrated Donkey Kong Country game ever.
And it's amazing that you've played this as well.
Because why's that?
Because it's coming out. It's not released yet.
I know. So no one cared about the game because it clearly was never released. So now the game's about to be released for the first time on the Nintendo Switch. Everyone's really, really excited about finally getting to play this game.
Another Donkey Kong Country game.
They've waited 8 years since this to come out for this to be coming out on the Nintendo Switch. So at the moment, there's loads of hype from people getting to play this for the first time.
I mean, it's great. It's a great game. You've told me it's a great game, and if it's anything like the Wii one, then yes, it is a great game. So people should be excited for it. But it's not new.
No, and why would you be excited about paying £50 for it when you can just walk into Game Now and buy it for a tenner? And play it now rather than waiting months and months.
Yeah, it is completely true. Like, there's no reason to wait for it now. People should have bought a Wii U. I should have bought a Wii U.
There's a lot of good games. All the exclusives, but they were exclusives anyway.
Yeah, and
so yes, this is how we're summarised. Donkey Kong Country, ever so slightly underrated, probably rated. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest, overrated. Donkey Kong Country 3, overrated. Underrated. I'd say rated now because people were really excited about it, even though they never played it. So
there we go.
That's probably it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think of the Donkey Kong Country series. Which game do you think is the best? Probably because most of you are coming straight from the YouTube echo chamber. You're probably going to completely disagree with me and just say Donkey Kong Country 2 because that's what everyone seems to tell you to say.
And everyone's definitely going to completely disagree with me because I didn't really like the first three at all.
Is it?
No.
And I assume you've not really played much.
I played the Wii one. I have played the Wii U one.
Okay, so everyone, play them on the Wii U, not the Switch. Cheerio!